What's up, y'all? Night's Edge here again, doing a little battle video today. Figure this will be fun. I did one with the Manix 2 and the Manix 2 XL. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago or something. I thought that was really neat. A lot of people said they liked that, so I figured I'd post one with these three knives before I get into it. There's my info. You guys are watching the YouTube channel right now. Appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. And keep watching for more content. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and my email. All that's in the description down below. So really appreciate you guys watching and liking the channel, subscribing to the channel, watching the videos. I got a lot of new subscribers. Last night for Metal Complex, I really appreciate that. Shout out to Metal Complex. Not that he needs a shout out from me, but I'm going to link his channel down in the description. I'm sure his subscriber count's going to just go through the roof now. You know, I mean, he's only got like, I don't know what, 452,000 subscribers at the time. By the time I'm done with this video, he'll have another 1,000 subscribers. But shout out from him really helped a lot. And I do have a lot of new subscribers off of that, and I really appreciate you guys checking out my channel. It means a lot. Hopefully I can, you know, kind of at least halfway measure up to what you're used to with the quality of content with his channel and everything. Really appreciate you guys watching this, and thanks for coming over. And like I said, hopefully I keep everybody moderately entertained or interested, you know, looking at some of these videos. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get into it. Got them all lined up, kind of in this cool little pattern here, like they're all fighting each other or whatever. But I don't know. Let me line them up like this. All right, so right here, I wanted to do this video a couple of weeks into starting the channel. But I kind of wanted to wait until I had individual reviews for each one of these knives out, and I finally do. You know, I have Spydercos, as anybody that's kind of watched the channel knows, is like my favorite knife brand personally, and I have more Spydercos than anything else. I think right now I got 17, I believe, right now. It's a problem, yeah, but anyway, I thought this would be pretty neat because these are all kind of like comparable models. These are like Spyderco's full size, what I would call full size. You know, everybody's definition of that varies, right? Depending on the size hands you got, depending on what you're comfortable with carrying, and depending on what's legal in your state, you know, for carrying. Some people might have a 3-inch blade law, and none of these knives are legal to carry, you know. But these are all over 3 inches. These are all what I would consider full-size knives, and they're kind of like Spyderco's more popular flagship models, you know, and the ones I've got and tried out. So I figured I'd kind of give my take on the experiences with them, you know, the differences, kind of do like a little look into that, you know. So first of all these are USA made. These are all USA made Spydercos. Paramilitary 2, USA made. Spyderco Shaman's USA made. And the Spyderco Manix 2 are USA made. So before we start looking at the slight differences between them, we'll go ahead and do size comparisons and measurements. Like I said, I did individual reviews on each one of these. So if you want kind of like a more in-depth look at each one of them, you can definitely check out my reviews of each one of them, and got a little more in depth on each one, kind of more on a one-on-one basis there. But so your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, from the end of the handle all the way up to the tip of the blade, look like you're coming in right at 8 1/4. Yeah, right at 8 1/4. Overall length on the Spyderco Shaman, coming in right at 8 1/4 on that too. Double check that. Yeah, coming in just a hair, maybe a hair under 8 1/4 actually, but right at it. Spyderco Manix 2. Move that up so it's in the view of the camera. I apologize also if any of these are, if I'm pulling measurements and, you know, the knife's in the view of the camera and the measurements out of the view of the camera. I really apologize for that. But I'm still trying to get used to this whole film and everything, camera stuff and all that. I've only been doing it a few months now. But all right, so that's 8 inches. So the Manix 2 is compared to the rest of them, the Manix 2 is the smaller of the bunch, but not by much. About, you know, a 1/4 inch or so smaller than the other ones. Blade length sitting at 3.5 inches on the Manix 2. If you go all the way to where the bottom of the blade meets with the handle right there. Cutting edge is sitting right at 2 7/8, 2 15/16, almost 3 inches on the cutting edge on the Manix 2. Blade length on the Shaman, Spyderco Shaman, I think that's the bigger one of the three. The Spyderco Shaman kind of wins with blade length. So you're looking at 3 3/4 on the blade length with the Shaman. But thanks to that really, really generous forward choil, finger choil right there, you're looking at a cutting edge of just at 3 3/8 on the cutting edge. Your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 all the way up to the handle right there, the blade length. On the blade length, you're looking at just over 3.5 inches. If you go all the way to the tip, and if you put the tape all the way down here to where the blade ends on the bottom, meeting with the handle, you're looking right at 3.5 inches. Right at 3.5. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit here. Yeah, right at 3.5 inches. On your cutting edge, you're looking at just over 3 1/8, almost 3 yeah, just over 3 1/8 on the cutting edge. And like I said, on your Shaman, you're looking at right at 3 1/8 on the cutting edge there. So pretty close on the cutting edges on both of these. Actually, the Paramilitary 2 might have the Shaman beat with cutting edge. It might have just over the cutting edge of the Shaman. So, but blade length overall, you know, I would say the Shaman wins. So did the full-on measurements overall. We'll go ahead and get out the calibers here. Do a thickness check. Blade stock thickness on your Manix 2 spine. Thickest part of the spine, you're looking at 115 thousandths, 112,000, 111 thousandths there. Behind the edge, close to the edge. Let me get this right there. Probably help if I put it on the right spot. Yeah, so you're looking around 29 thousandths, 29.5 thousandths. Not especially thin or anything. Not super thick. Shaman, what would we say, 111 for the Manix 2, 114 on the thickest part for the Shaman. Or no, not 114, I'm sorry. 147 on the thickest part, right around 145, 147. So far the Shaman's the thickest one. Yeah, Shaman's going to be your thickest one as far as blade stock goes. Cutting edge, right around 29 thousandths on the Manix 2. On your Shaman, looking at 33 thousandths on your Shaman. On your Paramilitary 2. Cutting edge, 33 thousandths. So as far as cutting edge goes, slimmest one's going to be your Manix 2, but not by too much. Handle materials, or handle thickness, 0.45. This is out of an inch, 0.45 on the Manix 2. Spyderco Shaman, 0.52. Figured that. Shaman's a little thicker, a little beefier. And these are aftermarket titanium scales, titanium, Lotus actually, on the Paramilitary 2. So you can't really go by that, but on this it's 0.48. So even with those scales, the Shaman's going to be the thicker of the two as far as handle goes. So kind of what I thought going into it. I've never actually had these up against each other with the measurements on them, you know. So after that, we'll go ahead and do size comparisons. Size comparisons. Right here, you got Spyderco Paramilitary 2, Shaman Manix 2, and we'll go ahead and get out the smaller version of the Paramilitary 2. This is the Para 3, so you can see all of them are pretty much bigger than the Para 3. That should be expected because the Para 3 came out as like a smaller version of the PM2, right? So even with the Manix, cutting edge is still a good little bit, you know, about a quarter inch or so longer than the Para 3. And Native 5 Spyderco. This is where an applied weapons technology scales. Whoops. All right, so yeah, you can see definitely bigger than Native 5 also, right? So probably help if you guys could see it. All right, so Native 5 smaller than the other two, like I said, or the other three. Like I said, those are kind of like Spyderco's full-size models. You know, these are Spyderco's flagship full-size models, what I would consider anyway. And that, you know, I haven't looked at sales figures, how much money each one's made and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure the Paramilitary 2 came out first before the other two, and I'm not quite sure on the year on the Manix 2 and the Shaman. You can definitely Google them, you know, find out. Just Google Shaman release date, Manix 2 release date. You can find that out pretty quick, but pretty sure the Paramilitary 2 was released in 2010. So I think it's a little older than the other two, but by much, you know, by how much, I don't know. So go ahead and do a couple more size comparisons with some knives that aren't Spydercos. This is the Cold Steel. It's a Cold Steel 8010. So that one's bigger for sure than the Paramilitary 2. Overall length, definitely longer than the Shaman for sure. Cutting edge is also, you know, a good bit longer than the Shaman, and therefore also longer than the cutting edge on the other two. So that's your Cold Steel 8010 comparison. This is the Ontario Knives Rat Model 1. All right, so put up against the Rat 1. Rat 1's a little larger, a little longer. All right, and last one, we'll do one more. This is the Doug Ritter RSK MK1 Ritter Hogue. Ritter Hogue more along the size of them, about the exact same size actually as the Paramilitary 2. Para 2 maybe a little longer. Shaman's a little bit longer. Cutting edge is longer though on the Ritter Hogue and the Spyderco Shaman. And overall it is right about the same length actually, I think, as the Manix. The Manix 2. No, it's actually longer than the Manix 2. So there's your size comparison with those. If at any point in the video I have said or do say Para 2, that's just to shorten it up, I guess. But the Para 3 is the name of this knife. The Paramilitary 2 is the name of this knife. So this is not the Paramilitary 3. And this is not the Para 2. But sometimes I do kind of get them mixed up or say them opposite or whatever. But just a little clarification on that. All right, what's next? Let's see. We got the scale. We can go ahead and do the scale. Do the weigh-in here. Weigh-in for the fight. Usually you do the weigh-in before the fight. Go ahead and do everything ass backwards like we do here. 4.9 ounces on that. Above the ounce and inch ratio for sure. 4.9 on that, but that's with the titanium scales too. So the Paramilitary 2 is actually a decent bit lighter, right? So that is with the got to keep that in mind on the weight on this one for sure. That's with the titanium scale, so that's going to add some weight there. And this is Spyderco Shaman 5.1. To me, none of those are really too bad. I mean, they're well over the ounce and inch ratio. Not quite. They're not quite doubled, you know, but anything under like 6.5 ounces, I don't really consider like too much of a problem. You know, once you get way up over that, yeah, definitely, you know, and depending on what you're wearing too. I mean, if you're wearing gym shorts, something like that, you might not want to, you know, you might not want to have any of those in your pocket if you're wearing something thin like that, or you might, you know, like weight's a personal preference on that, and also depends on what application you're doing, you know. All right, so deep carry clips on 2 of them. I got the blue jeans out here. I can show you how the regular Spyderco spoonbill clip carries with the Manix 2, right, from the factory. So you're looking at that much sticking up. You're looking at that much sticking up with the Manix 2. Not too bad, but also, you know, that could be a problem for some people. These, like I said, this is only going to show you deep carry on these because these are aftermarket clips, right? So this one I got off of Amazon because I like the little pattern. Not sure the company on that one for the Paramilitary 2 clip. And the Spyderco Shaman is, of course, a Lynch Northwest deep carry clip, which most of my Spyderco deep carry clips are Lynch Northwest. Most of my aftermarket clips are. You know, I thought this one looked pretty good with kind of like the industrial oil sheen color that it's got going on, but completely, you know, outside the pocket disappears. So anyway, that's carry. We did weight, we did length, how they carry, did the calibers, hardware check. Go ahead and do the hardware check on all of them. All right, this is a T8. That's a T8 right there. So body screws on the Manix, T8. Pivot, I think, is a T10. Get out the T10. All right. Yeah, T10 on the pivot on that one. And pocket clip screws. Pocket clip screws for all 3 of them are going to be T6. Actually, let me double check that before I tell you the wrong info. This is a T8. Oh, yeah. That's a T8. This is T6. And this is T6, right? So a little bit smaller on the pocket clip screws for the Paramilitary 2. Actually, one of them is a little bit loose right now because it's stripped out a bit. You know, that's the danger. That's the danger of a T6, you know. Pocket clip, usually not that big of a deal, you know, if you use a quality bit and if you kind of press hard and firm, you know, when you're doing it. But the T6 does have more of a tendency to strip out. I use these little Weehaw bits for most of my bits. They're pretty good from what I've seen, and a lot of other people recommended a lot of other better bits, but that's kind of just what I use. Pivot. So I think the pivots are all, let me double check. That's a T10. That's a T10. Manix or Shaman T10. So the pivots on all of them are T10. Body screws. Yeah, body screws on all of them are T8s. Pivots are all T10 on all of them. The clip on the Manix 2 has got a T8. So T8 across the board on the Manix 2 with a T10 pivot. That's pretty awesome. And I said the other 2 T8 body screws, T10 pivots, and T6 clip screws. So with hardware, you know, I would say that the Manix wins. As far as disassembly, you know, I have never, and I do intend on doing it when I get some more scales for it, but I've never disassembled a ball bearing lock. That's what this is called on this, is a ball bearing lock. So that is one difference that between the knives there is a ball bearing lock on this one, right? So you can't see it from up top because it's kind of got like a spacer, or this is actually part of the lock mechanism, I think, on the top of it. But that ball, these are plastic covers, a little grip that's over a ball bearing, a stainless steel ball bearing. All right, so whenever the blade slides closed like that, that slides into place and locks the knife up. Works just like a crossbar lock, axis lock, able lock, whatever, but the mechanism instead of the bar is the ball bearing in there. These other two are compression lock knives, which is like a reverse liner lock. Pinch this in up top. It's probably my favorite locking mechanism. So in order to close it, instead of pushing over like with a liner lock, you know, putting your thumb in the blade path, you can pull your index finger up and pinch it closed like that. Same way on the Shaman. One thing about the Shaman that a lot of people hate, that they don't like, is the nub. So what I mean by that is if you look at it, whenever you're disengaging the lock, this nub right here, it's not a problem at all opening it up, right? But this nub right here, whenever it comes down, a lot of people, you know, complain about that. I like the nub being there. It doesn't really bother me. I think it provides, when you're choked up like that, you know, with your index finger, definitely provides some security and some, you know, definite good ergonomics and a solid lock in instead of slipping up on the cutting edge. That nub helps out in that way. But a lot of people don't like it whenever you close it. When you pinch that compression lock close and the knife goes to close, here comes that nub, and it will make contact with your finger if you don't move it out of the way. You know, I mean, the nub is not sharp, you know, it's not, it doesn't pinch. It's just kind of something that is a mild discomfort to some people. So that is a thing. They do, OCD for EDC does make a, oh, I forgot what he calls it, man. The compression lock, it's a thing that you put on the compression lock, right? So it's like a, it's kind of like a pad or something that you clip onto the compression lock itself. And when you can, you know, pinch it, and it makes a compression lock pretty much easier and more comfortable to close, which I've never had an issue with that, but I get some people have, so figured I would mention that. All right, so we talked about the locking mechanisms, weight, size, everything. To me, it's hard for me to pick a favorite between these. They all have good things about them. The Manix 2 has more jimping, I think. You know, it's almost, you know, it's crazy how much jimping the Manix 2. You got jimping all along here. You got jimping going up here. Jimping coming down here up to your finger choil on the blade there. You got jimping on the top of the blade, on the spine up top, and you've got jimping here. So the Manix 2 has just got a ton of, you know, a bunch of jimping. And it's a pretty comfortable knife. I don't like the way the G10 is on the Manix 2 compared, especially. It's not bad, it's not terrible. It's just a little more rough than the G10 on the Shaman. I prefer myself the smoother G10 that's on the Shaman, which a lot of people, you know, that's just a preference. You know, some people might like the rougher G10, you know, it provides more grip or whatever, but I prefer the G10 on the Shaman. It's contoured, smooth, you know, really nice, and I can't really compare the G10 on, obviously, on the Paramilitary 2, because those are titanium scales. But if I remember right, the G10 on the Paramilitary 2 is closer to the G10 that's on the Manix than the G10 that's on the Shaman. I've never had a major problem with the G10 that Spyderco has in any way, but I do, if I had a preference, would be the G10 that comes on the Shaman. The Shaman is, to me, benefits of it is it's a little thicker, a little bulkier, just feels like a harder use knife to me than the other ones. You know, not to say I would recommend, you know, chopping wood or something, you know, striking action with it, but if I was to have to pick one of the three to do a more harder use, it would be the Shaman. The Shaman would be, you know, like I said in the video, the Shaman would be more of like a workhorse than the other two. The other two to me are more slicers, and whenever you look at sliciness, blade stock thickness is not too far off on either one than the other, right? But to me, the sliciest one would be the Manix. The Manix would be the sliciest one. But the Paramilitary 2 does have that a little extra cutting edge, which is, you know, that's a good thing too. And plus, the Paramilitary 2 has the compression lock versus the ball bearing lock. What, to me, my preference over the two is the compression lock. So if I was, you know, lockup's a big thing to me, I would probably go ahead and eliminate the Manix 2, even though I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite knives. It's hard to say, you know, but we're doing a battle between the three. So now, it being down to the Paramilitary 2 and the Shaman, I like the heft and the bulk of the Shaman more myself. So to me, between these two, if it came down, you know, to all three knives, I would say, in my opinion, my preference, the Spyderco Shaman is the winner. But a caveat to that, you know, one little extra thing that I didn't mention before that you got to think about, especially if you don't own these already, right, is the price. So I went on DLT Trading, and the prices of these three models vary greatly, but this is the price for the base model for each one, right? So well, probably help if I did that, right? But the price on the base models for each one, for the Manix 2, the Manix 2 is definitely by far the cheapest one. It's $35 on average than the Paramilitary 2. Now, that's not to say that this one, the base model of the Paramilitary 2, might go on sale next week and be a little cheaper. They do, different retailers and Spyderco themselves do sales all the time and stuff. Matter of fact, these that I got, or I think I've gotten all of them on sale. I don't think I've, you know, just went ahead and paid full price for something just because I had to have it at that moment. You know, all of them I've gotten on sale or trade, all my knives, you know, and one point or another, unless it was something that just dropped or released or whatever, I knew it was going to be sold out. But yeah, so when you're looking at it, the Shaman has almost got the Manix 2 topped by $100. You know, about what is that, 98 bucks, not 92 bucks. No, it's more than that. My math is horrible. Looking at it, the Shaman costs $108 more than the Manix 2 today. Right now, if you go on DLT Trading, these are the prices of these models. Now, you might go on Knife Center and find that the Paramilitary 2 is $205, or you might go on Blade HQ and find that the price of the Shaman is $268 or something like that. There's all kinds of variations depending on where you get them from. I think all three of these are on Amazon at one time or another, but I would recommend, you know, DLT Trading, River's Edge Cutlery, you know, Enaz, Blade HQ, even Knife Center if you got to, you know, which I would prefer the ones before much more to that one, but I have bought from Knife Center. These are the prices, like I said, right now on that website. So prices do vary a lot, and they could raise the prices at any point in time. And like I said, they could have a sale at any point in time. Another thing to consider is that is the price of the Paramilitary 2 with S45 VN. the Shaman has S30V. The Manix 2 has S30V. In my opinion, you know, the price of the Shaman kind of ridiculous when you compare it, especially to the Paramilitary 2, because the Paramilitary 2 comes standard now in S45VN, which is, there's nothing wrong at all with Spyderco's S30V. But the blade steel S45VN, I have had an awesome experience, you know, with S45VN. The only time I've ever had it was on this Paramilitary 2, and on the Hinder. I had the Hinder XM18 that had S45VN, and I thought it worked pretty well on there, you know. But I really don't understand why the Shaman is so expensive, why it's $270. I'm sure they have their reasons or whatever, but you know, that's a really high price for especially for something when you compare it to a knife where you're using the same materials for the handle, same locking mechanism, and even better blade steel on the Paramilitary 2. Yet it's cheaper by $70, you know, by over $70. That doesn't really make too much sense to me. But, you know, I don't sell knives. I don't make knives. I just buy them. But that is something that's noticeable, right? So I figured I'd point that out. I'm sure everyone has a reason. There's reasons for all this stuff, right? But I'm not seeing it. And so price-wise, if you're looking at them right now today, Manix 2 is definitely cheaper, you know, so that would be something the Manix 2 would do better. And the Manix 2 is an awesome knife. It has great ergonomics. All three of these knives, that's why I haven't really mentioned ergonomics too much. They all have great ergonomics. They're all ergonomically awesome. The hump on the Paramilitary 2 kind of helps with push cuts more, you know, but it also, whenever it's folded up in the pocket, that hump does stick up more than the other ones. All right, so that's what you're looking at. The Manix 2 sticks up less than that, but still more than the Shaman, and the hump sticks up more on the Paramilitary 2 than the Shaman. Shaman doesn't really have that little hump that's up top above the opening hole. All three of them you can reverse flick. All three of them have great action. A little different with that ball bearing, right, than the compression lock. But all three of them you can definitely fidget with, play with, flick them, open and close safely and quickly. And it's just fun to use them, you know. So, I mean, between the three, my personal preference is a Shaman. But, you know, also another thing with the Shaman is right now it is available. But a year or two ago, the Shaman was like unavailable. It was harder to find the Shaman. I don't know if that was because they were still coming out of COVID or, you know, or what, but Shaman availability, in my experience when I was looking at them, was a little more limited than Paramilitary 2 and the Manix. All three of these models come in 15V now. That's periodically available. It's a sprint run that Spyderco did with Big Brown Bear, where he did his heat treat on them with the 15V, which is actually, let's see, yeah, here it is. I have my 15V CPM 15V. That's my 15V Shaman. Excellent steel, very, very corrosive. But you know, if you keep your blades oiled and stuff like that, I would highly recommend that that 15V, unless you're, you know, doing saltwater work or, you know, super humid environment. Like I live in southeast Louisiana. I live in New Orleans, and it is humid around here. So carrying that Shaman one day in my pocket at work, I worked like 16 hours, and carrying it that one day was pretty corrosive for it. I cleaned it off after that, but that carrying it one day really was corrosive for it. So anyway, you know, and like I said, you just gotta keep if you get the 15V, you gotta keep it oiled. But that's one steel. All three of these knives are available in periodically in and out. I couldn't even name the amount of steels that these 3.9s are available in. They're available in S9 EV. Right now, the S9 EV Paramilitary 2, I think, is actually only like $160. I'd really like one of those. I always wanted to try S9 EV, but the Shaman and the Manix 2, all of them have been or are or will be available in a ton of different steels. They're all great ergonomically. Manix 2 wins hands down if you're looking at price. You know, it is a USA made, Golden, Colorado, USA earth, just like the other two. So if you're looking at that price, Manix 2, hands down. If you want a compression lock, don't want to pay the Shaman price, and you're looking at a super great, you know, iconic knife that is really good, and a good modding platform too, just like a lot of Spydercos, this Paramilitary 2 would win, I would say. And, you know, especially considering the price. But my favorite, Spyderco Shaman, you know, just because it feels to me better in the hand. It feels just more solid, you know. But yeah, that's it. That is pretty much all the differences I can think of with them. I think I covered everything fairly well. And like I said, there's more details about each individual one down in the description. This has been a pretty long video. I kind of figured it would, but I wanted to do it because I thought it'd be pretty interesting, and hope you guys like it too. But like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, have a great day.